I couldn't have asked for a more beautiful day. I'm Joy. Welcome to the June garden tour. The weather stayed in the low 70s all day. That's about 22 degrees Celsius. We had a beautiful rain last night, so everything is nice and lush. And the only thing really over here to report is the dogwood. It's doing well. The other plants grown along the bottom end of the property are mostly doing well, except for the persimmons, which did not seem to recover at all. So I still have to make that call to update to see if I can get them replaced or something. Actually, the sea berry I recently planted did not fare well either. So over here we have our flowering lamb's ear. Very pretty. I could technically be taking that up, harvesting it, displaying it. In here we recently planted a poppy, which is struggling quite a bit, but it's there. Otherwise, the hollyhocks are going to be in flower soon, and these have self-seeded for a few years now. I haven't had to put them in to seed them. Autumn Joy is looking healthy. The sedum from the forest also looking okay. The campanula I bought keeps flowering, so that's awesome. Over here are various strawberries that gave us fruit. This is one of the everbearings. They really like that rain. Where we also planted recently more sweet peas. Here are the more established ones that I only had a few survive. 1, 2, and this is one clump together, so that's beautiful. This columbine that grows itself, also just amazing. The lavender is looking great in most spots. A little bit sparse in others. We're finally getting the marshmallow really taking foot. And this is one of the blueberries that is producing nicely, so I have it netted from the birds. Here's another really nice specimen of lavender. The bleeding heart transplant's doing really well here. There is an infestation of tree of heaven. Not good. Another lavender. The calendula is about to come on. Here's some that's getting ready. So by next week we should have beautiful flowers. Among the weeds, the lemon balm, anise hyssop, and bee balm, all doing very well. Can you find the plants I want to talk about? I've ignored this little corner. I have comfrey in here, and also singing nettles. They're in need of some love and attention. So I was very excited to film this particular video because I finally did some cleaning up of this space. You can now see where the self-seeded cosmos are coming up. This ground cherry I transplanted here. It's kind of in a bad space because the bird, or however many, like to roost right here and then poop on it. So that's not ideal. I weeded the blueberries. I weeded this bed, and I recently planted in a celery, a parsley, and that alyssum. This gets shaded quite a bit by this maple, so this would do better with, well, also better soil. There's not that much soil in here, and then the tree is sucking up a lot of it too. So this is a bed that constantly needs to be monitored and really topped off with some more compost. So you can see I did a bit of clearing, not a thorough, because there's random bits and bobs of asparagus in here that I didn't want to destroy completely, but that's done. The newest addition is this ridiculously tall trellis to, more importantly, get the raspberries under control, because they were just being in the ground. The dog, she likes raspberries, she was snipping them, and that's fine, but we like some too, and the birds obviously are taking them also. So now I can actually get to the fruit, net it if I need to. And now that I have this space here, I'm seeing a potential for another bed. A nice 3x3, I think, would do well there. This bed is still, well, it is producing peas, so these are ready to be harvested, a lot of them. Yum yum. The lettuce is going to be going by this week because we need to put some plants in there. You can see this fig coming back, and this little fig is up as well. Those need to be winterized some other way because we will never get fruit out of them otherwise. The sunchokes always do pretty well in the buckets, although if I'm not on top of watering, the tubers will stay small. And then I finally cleaned up this bed, which had a bunch of bolted spinach. Now it's just beets left over, volunteer tomato, and a volunteer potato right there. So that has room for a plant or two to occupy some of the empty spaces there. And speaking of empty spaces, you should always have some, otherwise you're just going to have to create them. So these were recently sown about a week ago. We have a mishmash of some beans and cucumber, melons, pumpkins, okra, some squashes. So those are almost ready to be transplanted. Down here, this is the first year that I'm going to get a flower from this heuchera. That's exciting. I've never seen it. And then I got a little bit of Johnny Jump Ups in there, as well as up there. The green stalk was recently, cleaned up and planted some. This is a volunteer lettuce. The onions, as I mentioned in my last videos, I think got a surge of nitrogen, and that's why I am getting this growth of very irregular, because they were growing too fast and they did not have the capacity for it. But I also have these purple dwarf tomatoes that are doing nicely. I'd gotten 3 of these, so I think that's going to serve the tomatoes well. So I'm excited to see how these come up. And I've got a couple of nasturtiums in here as well, so that will be pretty. And here's a little bucket of figs also. It's not growing as well as I'd like. It's alive and healthy, but it's just not it's not vigorous. I also planted some garlic here, recent garlic. I think they're soft neck. I could be wrong. And I dotted them in other places that I'm trampling, apparently. But I also have a problem, particularly in this bed of chipmunks. They have made quite a mess in here, which is quite unfortunate. But some of the chamomile is coming up. The German chamomile has not come up yet. These are the Roman chamomile. The yarrow has not popped yet in color. The yellow here is, did I say yellow? Yarrow. That would be golden yarrow. These yellow flowers are from some type of mustard green. The feverfew is in full effect, and got to make sure to keep a watch on it. I had a cage around it last time, and I need to find another cage because it tends to get floppy, especially if we get heavy storms. The foxglove came back beautifully. And I lost a majority of my Sweet Williams, but I've got a little bit here. The oregano definitely needs to be trimmed back. It's going to seed. We don't need any more seeds. I'd like to say the jicama is doing well, but it isn't. It hasn't really grown much, really. And I can't reach the other one, but it's there. Otherwise, here's another feverfew that escaped. My fennel is doing very nicely. This is the second year I've attempted to grow it, and this is the first year that it's actually looking like what it's supposed to. The thyme, beautiful. What else? We have cilantro here. There's a parsley over there. And this is like that fake chamomile. Comes up a lot earlier. The flowers are a lot bigger. It's considered a weed, but it's not. You can treat it as a chamomile. And then this is dill, which is already starting to go to flower. That's okay. It's still plenty useful. I still haven't cracked the code on artichokes. That one's growing at least. This one got attacked fairly aggressively and is having a harder time. And then this one is, I think, too shaded and it's having an even harder time. So once again, I don't think artichoke is in this year's recipe books. Something that I planted recently, I got it. It was a trade, you would say, but I didn't do the trade very well. But somebody gave me Solomon seal. So I planted a bunch here and I planted a bunch somewhere else, but this is the one that's taken and is doing really well. So I'm excited to see that keep coming every year. And here is one of the more established, the original lavender that I grew from seed. It is really grown well. It likes this spot. Most recent addition is getting the rice out in their containers. And now that they're absorbing the water, it's not staying as mucky as it usually is, so I have to make sure not to let it dry out. I was supposed to have peanuts in there, but they never came up. So that is a nice empty container to plant one of those transplants. This bed was fussed with. I added a cage to keep the netting up. What was it? There was a cabbage that bolted already. These are supposed to be cauliflowers. They're a little on the tall side, which isn't ideal. You know, I'd like that to be squatter, but if they produce, that's great. I've also got the leeks in there. There was more beets, but something's been messing with them. But there's a plant or two in there. And then I recently planted in some Brussels sprouts also, since I took out the cabbage. And then I've got some bits of onions and garlic. I see a scape that I need to take care of also. And then in here, ooh, this is starting to flower. So I find with heirlooms that the first blossoms are usually like fused or extremely large, and then you get a fruit that's kind of wonky and you can't eat much of it. So I'm gonna take this flower because I think it's ridiculous. And now it can flower normally. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember if this is a Santiam Sunrise or a Cherry Sweetie. I think it's I don't know. I'm hoping it's supposed to be, it could be a honey drop, because that would be good, because I lost my other honey drop. Time will tell what that is. The alyssum has come back from winter and is flowering nicely. This is scallions. And then this is an onion that was like a store-bought onion that I just plonked in there because it was already going bad. And every year it comes back and it gives me seeds, but the seeds, you know, get lost and never grow in. But it just keeps coming and coming and coming. So if I ever needed the greens, it's here. Next, we have this container that also was supposed to be growing peanuts, but did not. So I plunked in some husk cherries. And they're growing slow and steady. This green stalk's doing well. The strawberries that I planted in, all alpine, are growing well. Another lettuce that planted itself. Here's some of that garlic that I snuck in. We're getting flowers. That means some strawberries. There's still a few strawberries in here from old stock that usually do not produce anything. What leaf is this? Oh my goodness. Is this like a dandelion plant that I left? That doesn't belong there. It's very big. I'm not going to pull it now because it's very spiny. And down here are two types of winter savory. Savory. This is winter savory and this is summer savory. They're doing really well. And here's a parsnip still in flower. There's quite a bit of ants. Yes, ants on there that I've sprayed from time to time. So we're looking for seed production from that. Oh, if you can see the patio, I sprayed with some vinegar. I ran out, so there's still some green. But that's the plan for the weeds. Over here, some more. Oh, I just planted this wall onions that I had nowhere else to put, so they're not going to get very big, but at least they're home now. A ghost pepper from overwintered stock, a gladiolus bulb, the only one that survived, and what is this, pokeweed that I didn't completely eradicate. We're all familiar with this site of the asparagus ferns forest. Love it. And then here are a few containers, a couple empties, so we're gonna get the melons in here. This technically isn't empty. These are all volunteer weeds and and ground cherries. These, I think these are edible, but not something I planted. And then here are ground cherries that I did plant. Ah yes, the carport is done. Needs to be inspected still, but we're starting to put stuff under there. And we do need walls also. The magnolia got trimmed. I left you the trimmings for your viewing pleasure. And now this area can get a little bit more light. The sunchokes in that container is alive and well. I watered it. The weeds are alive and well. I haven't gone through here yet. This bed is mostly empty. I tried to grow. There's a loofah that's dying. That loofah is on its way. I need to transplant that. The nasturtium is alive, but not doing much. And the peas, a couple of peas that survived, are not really going to produce much. So this is a nice empty space that I usually grow my squashes in. So I might continue to do that. Oh, looky! Yay! A nasturtium flower. Nice. See, that's so bizarre that, this is in part shade and it's already flowering, and the other ones that are much bigger and more established and in better condition have not flowered yet. So that's beautiful. I love that purplish, like a faded purple and the yellow. So nice. The sweet potatoes are struggling. I mean, that one looks okay, but other ones not so much. Maybe they're just coming into their own now. This yellow squash is starting to flower. There's actually two. I'll leave it alone. And a couple of straggly peas are also good for pickings. This is a cherry, well, there's two. There's two cherry sweetie tomatoes. I think there's two. Pretty sure. Yeah, there's two. Two cherry sweetie tomatoes in here doing well. This is the only loofah that's doing well in this bucket, and it's climbing up the trellis. I weeded the carrots, but I haven't really looked at it. I'm not going to weed it or thin it out until July, because that's what I've heard from somebody. If you want, some kind of a harvest, then thin it out when it's gotten some growth to it. I weeded this and now it needs to be weeded again. But these are leeks. They're struggling. I don't know. I guess they need to be fed. So that's there. This flowering celery, which is maybe taking too much out of the soil, and therefore these pigeon peas are not doing well. Or maybe these just need more sun. I don't know. There were 3 leeks in here, but now only 2. One gave up the ghost. This is, I mean, it could just be collard greens, but I also feel like maybe it's trying to head up. So, and it's beautiful. It really likes the soil in here. So whatever that is, it's doing really well. And this is another empty container. It used to have a loofah in it, but that fizzled. Now this space, recently planted. I showed you a video on some of the things I planted in here, but here's some of the things that I might not have shown you. I put the Bells of Ireland in. This is a Nigella cumin. That's the only thing that survived. This is a row of zinnias. We have St. John's wort right there. I'll get back to that. This is the ginger. This is the bay leaf that I think is dead already. This is also a dying rosemary. This is cinnamon basil. I see some have come up, so yay. This is like a malanga, a root, you know, a tropical root that started to green up and then died back and starting to green up again. It's in a little tiny container. I don't know what that's going to do in there, but you know, I'm growing it. This is hyssop, which I don't really need more of, but here it is nonetheless. These three are amaranth. Let me go around. This is one of the Williams, Sweet Williams. Another feverfew. These are bachelor buttons. Well, this is a volunteer. Mints. Another bed of strawberries. Some more foxgloves. They came up earlier and they were more diseased. I have a snapdragon flower. That's so cute. Is it, I mean, soil quality, maybe the shade? Like what encourages some plants to develop faster than others? All right, these are recent snapdragon plantings. And these little guys are salvia. And what else? I think that's it for this bed. This is another yarrow, a different kind of yarrow. Not golden, but more pastel-y. And then we have seeding rhubarb. And there's another one over there. So the other Solomon seal I planted in the woods, so it's probably not getting enough sun. Well, that's not true. The other one is also in shade, but it might not like the soil quality there as much. It's not as consistently moist in the soil. All right, panning over to here, we have rhubarb on its way out. It's hard to get up close and personal here. We have hyacinth vine. We have a roselle right there. We have one peony, second peony, another asparagus block. See, this is like female and you're supposed to take these out, but I don't have the heart. Plus I get volunteers everywhere. And then there's another, the other peony. And there's another roselle, but I won't be able to point it out. It's too far. But speaking of volunteers, here's a few asparagus volunteer. If I can, now I can't find it. Now that I'm speaking on it, I know they're here. Oh, here's one. Oh. So there's several, I promise. Here we got lettuce. This I think is weeds. Oh goodness. Alright, can't weed right now. So this bed is pretty much just housing lettuce, so we'll leave that alone. I did plant assorted other seeds around these sacrificial greens, but I didn't keep up on them, keeping them moist and all, so if any came up, I'm not even sure. So this is another Brussels sprout. We won't be seeing anything from those for a while. This is a broccoli, which had a little head that I harvested. This is another one that I harvested. Tiny, not even worth noting. These two Well, that one bolted. That was a purple broccoli. That's bolted already. That bed can be repurposed. That bed can be planted in. These potatoes are going to be done sooner than later, I think, because they were the first ones I put in. And they're getting a little bit hit by the beetle. And then these 2 beds of potatoes are next. I've deflowered them when I could, when I saw something. It says cabbage on the tag, but that looks more like kohlrabi to me. Purple kohlrabi. And what else? Anything else? No, I think that's it for that. The garlic's doing well. I've escaped all of them. I'm a little concerned that some of these are supposed to be soft neck. So, okay. I think these are the soft neck because they don't have scapes. Shoo. I was like doubting that I even planted soft necks. And then here are the potatoes that I planted most recently. Looking very nice. And here's one of those beetles that must be eradicated. But they're not too bad, the pest infestation. There isn't one, so I'm not super concerned right now. The lantana, it's always a trooper. It looks so scraggly because I don't know how to take care of these kinds of things. But it's giving us flower. It's pumping it out. The mainly pepper bed, I've got a huge borage that I decided to stay there. I've got a couple of volunteers of ground cherries. Good thing I like ground cherries. And this marigold to round it all out. Everybody's looking good. Oh, I got a volunteer cherry tomato in there too. Now, I thought all I needed to do was net brassicas because of the cabbage whites, cabbage moths. But apparently they just crawl up and under anyway. And I already killed 2. I left one evidence for you. Let me show ya. Here's the remnants of one of the buggers. There's the wing. It's been rained on. But I squished it. Squished it good. So there were 2 of them in there. So, I don't know. That's some damage to it. But for the most part, they haven't done... Oh, there's another one. Yeah. I gotta squish this. Hold on. Oh, it's right in the middle of the frame. I don't know if I squished it good enough. But yeah, they're getting it under, so I have to really tighten the hatches. But yeah, these look so good. I haven't had brassicas look good in ever, so very happy. I also have volunteer or self-seeded, whatchamacallums? Sorrel, red vein sorrel, I think. Although they look redder than I'm used to. Maybe they're not. What are those? I feel like they should be sorrel, but sorrels doesn't grow that way. Now I don't know what those are. Curious. So here's another bed that I put seeds of things in, but now the weeds have taken over, so I don't even know if any of these is what I actually planted in it. It's either been enough time in the ground, it's the fertilizer I put in, it's the sulfur pellets, all of the above, but these blueberries have never looked like this. They're laden with fruit, big fruit, and I've also got netting on it to protect it from the birds. And now let's get to the pied de resistance. So let's just start with the tomato alley. Lots of borage volunteers. I put in dragon peas in between some. You don't need that. Oh, I think that's more pokeweed. No. I know there's flowers. Yep, there's beans coming. Yahoo! The beans are coming. Nice. Now I intend to put some basil also down here. I really love how the borage is taking root. So we're getting some flowers on some of the cherry tomatoes. These were planted, Talvez, planted a lot later. Here's a marigold. This is for water collection. Hopefully I won't be killing anything by having this here. but there's a hole in it. There's a crack. So once it gets to halfway, it'll leak out, and that's fine. And then this is also easier for me to get my water bucket and then distribute water that way. So that's why that's there. Ideally, I would want like a 55-gallon tank sitting on something over there, and then have it like hose feed this space. So far the Arkansas travel is the first fruit. The peppers here are doing well. Lots of weeding needs to be kept up on. So this bed is waiting for the okra. And then here is eggplants that I covered recently because the flea beetles have come. So I'm hoping to keep some of them away. They might already be in there, but it is what it is. More of my brassicas. Oh, there it is. I got to collect that one. The other ones were a lot smaller. And some cabbages here. There's more borage. I let the borage volunteer where it likes to. Yep, these look good. I also plunked a marigold somewhere. Let me see. A teeny tiny marigold. Oh my goodness. Speaking of marigolds, these are the big ones, the honkers. These are 6-gallon pails, so I can technically plant like a real vegetable in there other than marigolds. My corn doing really well, but also it's a little spotty over here, but that is actually a good thing because I am going to sow mid to late June another round, because we do have enough time for those to come in and bear nice fruit. So I'm looking forward to that. My borage has fallen over. This thing is huge for those who want to know how big borage can really get. And it's spiny too. So it's close to 4 feet tall. It's no joke. But I'd like to keep it off the path. So I gotta work on that. I do have, obviously weeding, but I do have to thin a bit. For some reason, I have way too many seeds over here. I don't know what happened. So, but yeah, it's going to be a nice corn harvest. Here's another batch of marigolds that I still have. I think one left of the logs that are hollowed, and the others had disintegrated, and that's why I had to replace them with the jugs, because that one, for example, is just like. So these are French marigolds. Well, no, I think this is a French marigold, and this is a regular marigold that gets big. Oh, I almost forgot. If I can find it. So I planted in here a couple of things. I think this is Joe Pye weed, I hope. Yeah, that's the Joe Pye weed. This was purchased. Also, where is it? This is milkweed. Super happy. And that grassy thing is, I never remember, Blazing Star Liatris. So I look forward if I hopefully remember to keep them watered. I have a couple of elderberries. Again, I trimmed this all earlier in the season, but they need to be looked after again. But I don't know, it might be too shady here because they don't produce the best quality fruits. And then here's a gumi. It's actually got some fruits. So that'll be interesting. It's been here only a few months, so I don't think I'm going to be touching that for another year. What's of note at the chicken coop is the trimmed stinging nettles. The cohosh is growing well. Chickens are also well. And then a couple of things observed are some lettuce that volunteered. So once in a while I clip off the older leaves and give it to the chickens. And then I had some scraggly potatoes that were already way overdue. So I just threw them here because I had this pile of used or unused hay and straw, like leftovers. And I was like, hey, let me do the root stock method. So here we are. We have a couple come up. I don't expect anything grand out of these, but it's more than I had if I just thrown them away. So that's very cool. And since this week is a little bit cooler, I think that'll give me a chance to process some compost. And I'm not going to linger in the woods here because the mosquitoes, but just to report that the grapes are doing well. This one has leaf minor damage, but that's fine. I have spotted, I have seen the spotted lanternfly on another plant, but yeah, that's just how it is. I don't think they're going to fruit much this season, so that's okay. But they're alive and well. So overall, I'm really happy with where the garden is at right now. Finally getting up that stinking trellis. It just makes you so happy. It's just some projects that you just like wait and everything. It's actually, well, I'll show you in another video how that came to be. Well, not exactly, but anyway. Thank you all for hanging out. Always catch my weekly uploads, maybe bi-weekly, and I have lives every other Tuesday with at Healy Means at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, shorts here and there. All right, hope to see you again soon. If not, see you in the July garden tour. Talk to you all again soon. So I'll harvest more. Bye.